back, I think, is the phrase of the day. Boston Celtics obviously win 1,000,000 points to way less points. Couldn't tell you what the actual score is tonight. But we are back. Obviously, they were 14-3 before tonight. They do move to 15-3. I guess, Greenie, where were you when you found out that the Latvian prince was returning tonight?
I was at my desk just doing a normal, Monday activity.
Yep.
I got the Shams alert on my phone, and it's just like a habit. It started with Woj, but obviously now Shams is the guy. Anything from him that starts Boston Celtics center, I'm like, immediately my heart like drops. And I've never read anything as fast as a tweet that starts from Shams, Boston Celtics, Kristaps Porzingis. Then I had to double check, triple check, quadruple check that I wasn't getting, Sentinel, that it wasn't, just a burner from somebody. And it's mind blowing that it looked so good, but the fact that it even arrived, 3 to 4 weeks before I think and that's conservative, right? I think any one of us would have been like, hey, if he wants to wait until the All-Star break, like, okay, cool. So and then you hear today how, he said he felt good like a month ago and he was ready to go a week ago. It's like, this is not what life as a Celtic and injuries, like, it's just, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop because from the early return to how he looked immediately in his first couple shifts, it's just like you said, this is it. We're back. Like, this is what we miss.
Yeah, look, I said in instant reactions, there's no way you can top game one of the finals as far as returning. But man, this guy, it's pure magic every time he comes back. And look, credit to him, like the mentality. He's been through a lot of injuries, and he talked in his postgame about like finding out that he needed surgery probably before game 5, played in game 5, doesn't really think about it, didn't really think about the rehab. Just, day by day, live in the moment. It was one of the easiest rehabs he's done as well. It's something that he said, he's like, of all the rehabs, this one was very easy.
Easiest, right? Yeah.
Once I got back on my feet, I was kind of like back to it very quickly. Like, you can't really draw. If you're going to, have ankle surgery and have an ankle issue, you look at like some of the injuries around the league right now, and whether it's Embiid or Chris Middleton with the arthroscopic ankle surgeries, right? That they're supposed to be like the most minimally invasive ones. This like incredibly rare ankle injury. Do you remember what it was called?
God, no. I mean, it's like, I know it's probably like 35 letters long. Stupid like that.
I think it's the retinaculum. I think if I want to,
I looked at the real thing.
Exactly. But it's like you contrast like, oh my God, only Kristaps Porzingis and the Celtics could like come back from the calf injury, and then a game and a half after coming back, he has this rare injury. To today, where he looks completely normal and he looks completely like himself.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like, it's kind of the only spin zone I could maybe have on like, it sucks that he keeps getting hurt.
Sure.
Is there's nobody on the planet more accustomed, and it's like he comes back with no rest. He missed 30 days in the playoffs. Yeah. Game 1 of the finals was ready to go. Hasn't done anything for 5.5 months. It's like he's come back from injuries so often. And I feel like he talked about this, before the ankle. So when he was coming back from the calf injury in the playoffs, he talked about, it's like this is what's different for other guys, right? Maybe they're overthinking it. Maybe they're nervous to come back. For him, he's been in that position so many times before. It's just, if he's medically cleared, he's good to go, and he's going to be like from the very first, pick and pop 3. It's like, oh my God! It's like this is everything that had, we talked last time. Oh, the paint defense, the rim pressure, the spacing. It's like he solved all of those issues in his first 6 minutes on the floor, and he hadn't played in 5.5 months. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's just like Embiid always looks bad when he comes back, and I don't know if like he's just good at. He looks good every time he plays basketball, but we really did get you ticked every box, and the rim protection and the defense may have been the thing that stood out more than anything else. Because like obviously, man, it's way too easy for them to just get this pick and pop thing off. Yeah. Like obviously with Horford you can get him off, but the way that he likes to set up 2 or 3 or 4 feet behind the 3-point line, especially against a team like the Clippers that are playing drop coverage with Zubats, like obviously going to get these. He had 4 attempts in the first like 3 or 4 minutes, and you're like. You're kind of comfortable with him taking 10 to 12 of those every night. You can kind of go to it whenever you want.
And honestly, like you said, the rim protection, it's what was such a nice refresher is it's not just about the actual block shots, right? It's about contesting without fouling and just having that length as an option. It's about guys second guessing even going into the paint because they're worried. They're just thinking about Porzingis is around here somewhere. He's just going to block my shit, and I'm not even going to see his, go gadget arms. So it's like when they have Horford, like, again, he's 38. We're not putting the weight of the world on him. They don't have that same intimidation factor without Porzingis, and I think that was the difference. It did not feel like the Clippers, outside of Harden, even wanted to attack the paint. Like, their paint production came from Zubac, which, like, okay, like that's what he does. He gets on the block and he has little short jump hooks. But it just felt like, he makes you think twice about going at the rim, whereas, love Al, love Cornette, love what they do. They don't provide that same, they may block a shot, but guys are still willing to challenge them. Like, you have to be an idiot to challenge Porzingis one-on-one at the rim. He's not going to foul you, and he's either going to block the shot or force a miss.
Dude, he had that one play. It was like in the corner, late shot clock. I think it was Chris Dunn who had no choice but to attempt a layup at the rim. I don't even think Porzingis jumped. He just put 2 hands in the air and then
fucking tall.
And then just grabbed the ball from him. He was like, "No, Chris Dunn. You've found a nice little niche in the NBA, but this is not happening for you in this moment." And like. He's just very athletic. He kind of talked about how he got a flat tire on a couple of the lobs, definitely on that Pritchard lob, but the athleticism and the coordination, obviously he's a little bit taller than I think Cornette and maybe a little bit longer than those guys, but the athleticism, the coordination and the timing. I mean, Brook Lopez and the Bucks built a top 5 defense out of just having elite rim protection and parking Brook Lopez at the rim. And he's way more mobile, especially than this version of Brook Lopez. Yeah, it's just not something they don't have. And like, if you're going to add that piece to a 14-3 team that, I mean, we've talked about how like, it hasn't really matched the eye test. They're 14-3, but point differential.
Today felt like, today was like, this is okay. It's like we were all, I feel like, hypothesizing that this is what it would feel and look like once he came back. This, I think, was he didn't even shoot well from 3. Like, let's remember, like, okay, like 2 or 3 games from now, he's not going 1 for 6 or whatever it was on those wide open looks. But even the posting on the switches where he's just turning around and shooting over a guy, like the versatility of the offense and the defense that you mentioned, that's what was clearly missing, I think. And that's what felt and sort of looked off compared to, when he was obviously on the floor last year. And I don't think it's an accident that everybody on the team is like, yeah, this is the cheat code. Just wait till we get KP back. With him back, they're a different team. We knew that, but it was nice to like see it in fruition again for the first time.
Yes, the defense is clearly going to be better with Kristaps Porzingis. Obviously, we didn't even have Al Horford tonight, but they were the 9th or 10th defense by cleaning the glass, I think, going into the Wolves game. And now after the Wolves game and tonight, they're probably going to be in 6 or 7.
Like, they'll be right outside the top 5, yeah.
So the floor is obviously going to be higher. So that's one part. But the real part of the cheat code is like, obviously the Celtics shoot a lot of threes, and the way that, shooting variance works, sometimes they're not going to go in. Like, just like in the first quarter, they were missing shots. And as you said, that diversity in the offense, the way that he's able to go down on the block, whether it was on Harden today, he just gets down there. On the first one, he got a look and he missed. It was like back rim, looked good. But the next one, he's kind of looped a bit further around, got better position, nailed it, and the next one he got fouled. And that's the part of the offense that's just like the opposite of high variance. He is just so money getting into the post, those 2-point shots, and getting to the free throw line. Like his free throw rate last year,
I think it was like 40,
insane,
right? 41%. And I think that the post ups at the free throw line came in the third quarter, where like
exactly.
It was like a 22-8 start. They weren't hitting their shots. It's like, all right, time to break. Like, guess what? We also have literally the most efficient post up offensive weapon.
Hit the other button.
Like, if you weren't tired of the 23s, guess what? Now you have to handle with an automatic foul or jumper that you just don't have the height to stop. It's like, I don't know. Like I said, it's just a reminder of like, this is what they can do to teams where you have to make a choice. You're either going to send two to Tatum and Brown in the pick and roll, and that's getting kicked back out for Porzingis or Al Horford 3, or you're going to pre-switch and you're going to let, the Jays get to the rim with ease. There is no winning solution, and it's why he is a cheat code. Like, people throw that term around, but what he unlocks for them, it's literally unbeatable basketball.
It's not fair.
Like, there's no good option. Even if you play 23 seconds of good defense, the Celtics are going to make you make a choice that you don't have an answer for when he's on the court. And it's a pick your poison. It's like, how do you want it? Do you want it from three? Do you want it at the rim? Do you want it at the free throw line? It's unbelievable.
What are you supposed to do? Yeah, and look, you get out of this game, 22 minutes. He said that they went under whatever the restriction or limit was, so you like that. Perfectly timed on the second night of a back-to-back after you get a nice win. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but the Celtics are actually much worse with rest. Like this last stretch where they've had they're not bad, but like they've had 2 days off between all of these games.
Yeah, they've played like 3 games in 10 days or something.
The Cavs game, they obviously played well and they won, but like the Raptors game, overtime, they did not play well. The Wizards game was 2 days off, they did not play well. These back-to-backs now, I think they're 26-6 after tonight in the Missoula era. And like you're not getting even Horford.
They were 12-2 last year. I know that.
It's insane.
That's like on their list of just mind-numbing achievements. I think, have they lost on the back-to-back this year? I don't think so.
No, they're 2-0 now.
Okay, 2-0. That's 14-2, and it's just the mental toughness to do that is just, that's different stuff.
Yeah, and so, but you get the nice 3-day break. They've haven't been as good off of rest, but like I think you still take that as a welcome thing after Kristaps gets his first minutes, and then
next week's going to be absolute hell. I mean, I bet you of those 5 games, we'll see him for 3, right? Like he's not going to play on both those back-to-backs.
Well, yeah. Well, okay, how would you do it? Because Ben Vallis had made a very poignant comment earlier. Do not play Kristaps in the Miami Heat side of the back-to-back. Play him in the Cleveland side of the back-to-back.
Yeah, I'm not messing with Bam and all that.
Right? That's where he's gotten hurt twice against the Heat.
Yeah, that's a good call. I'd be interested to see how they do that. They'll obviously both play against Cleveland. And honestly, it's like you can beat the Miami Heat without Porzingis. But that is a good point. I'm avoiding. They're just, they know their season's probably lost. So it's like, they got to take down, the unicorn somehow. But I will admit, every time he sets an on-ball screen, the only thing I'm looking at are his knees. I want to make sure that as guys are running by, that there's no contact there. Like, I'm still nervous on every jump. I'm still nervous.
He got trucked at one point that like I didn't quite see, and then you just look and he's just flying backwards on his ass, and I'm like, oh,
I don't think that's ever going away, but
no.
The fact that he's okay, I think, is telling us like if you were nervous that they were playing him maybe before he was 100%, what we saw today was 100%. He just needs game shape, I think, is all that's really left to build.
Look, the last couple of years, he's been relatively healthy. Like he played 57 last year, but that was with, resting all the back-to-backs. And then the year before, he played 65 games. So we don't need him to do any outlier shit. We just need him to
be
give
normal.
us...
Just be normal and be available in the spring. My hope is because we were robbed of him last playoffs, that was his sacrifice to the gods. Like now we can see what an entire playoff run will look like with him. And you just have to, knock on wood that nobody takes his spot, as an injury hit. But it's just remembering that they also get to add Al Horford to this.
I know. Didn't even have him tonight.
I didn't even need him. Just unbelievable.
And like this Clippers team came in on a 5-game winning streak and had a top 5 defense in the NBA. And you pick up another, you just straight up demolish them. And
I mean, listen, let's be fair. They're different, especially offensively, without Norm Powell. It was going to be tough for them to match your offensive firepower. But like you said, this was, one of the best defenses in the league so far, playing well, on a roll, and you just put up 128, 126 with, and you missed probably 5 or 6 wide open threes in the first quarter. That's how you could kind of tell that they had this defense figured out, is because they were generating just unbelievable looks early that, I trust them to make open threes. So the process was good. And then you get to the second quarter, water finds its level. All of a sudden, those same looks are going in and they have a 51-point quarter. It's like their process was so much better. The ball moved, people moved, there wasn't stagnant. And I just think having Porzingis back encourages that energetic style of play. You know what I mean? Nobody felt like, okay, no Al, no KP, I have to be the guy. It was more, we know that we're unstoppable if we just move the ball. And it was beautiful.
I don't know what it is exactly. He clearly provides a spark. And it may just be as simple as watching this unicorn. Has never been a more accurate name for a player. Like watching this unicorn impact the way that the game, the way that he does, just being a part of that as a teammate, but also clearly the Garden, and Kristaps is a part of this, is he feeds into it WWE style. And so the Garden's clearly hyped for him to come back. And so that probably just feeds into the rest of the guys, because I thought everybody played really good defense, but you are right on the Norman Powell thing. But on that general aura boost, I'm not sure anyone gets it more than Jalen. Him and Kristaps have this very special mind meld, and to see them doing the backdoor cuts again, Jalen threw a lob to Kristaps as well. Those two getting that.
Let me ask you this. This is why you think this is. I think he has this connection with the fan base because at every stage of his Celtics career, he's delivered, right? If you think about it, they essentially traded Marcus Smart for him, right? So that comes with its own amount of pressure. What happens? His very first game as a Celtic goes into Madison Square Garden, drops 30, right? Instantly, it's holy shit. This is what we were missing. Then first playoff run, immediately against the Heat, destroys them. Backs up everything Brad Stevens said about breaking their switching defense. He gets hurt. Okay, we get through that. Now we're in the finals. First appearance in the finals, has arguably the greatest debut in the history of basketball. Then you have tonight, highly anticipated return, immediately delivered. When's the last time Kristaps Porzingis ever let me down as a basketball fan? Aside from getting hurt, he's never let me down. It's insane.
It's true. Literally from the second he touched the court for the Boston Celtics, that he was, and it was a clutch time win in Madison Square Garden as well. It was Tatum behind the back-to-back threes in MSG, and he's egging on the booze. I think it's a variety of things. He's quite a personality as well. I missed the smirks and the winks. He was doing his.
The winks. That has to be so deflating when you just know that there's nothing you could do to stop him, and then you're just God damn it. It's guess what? It's only the first quarter. There's 48 more minutes of this. It's just, I'm trying to think. I kind of want to say Derrick White has also never let us down, but
he struggled early.
I remember games 2 through 5, 6 of the final. It wasn't great. Since he went bald, I'll say he's never let us down.
It's working.
I think Porzingis is that rare player. I honestly can't think of a time where it was a big spot and he missed a big shot or no-showed. The one time he no-showed, he immediately takes responsibility from it and comes back and responds. So it's just he bought into the chemistry. He bought into what it means to be a Celtic. And we joke all the time about how corny that stuff is. But I think you're seeing it with Derrick White, with Porzingis, with Horford when he first came. These outsiders who are essentially built to be Celtics have come here and then just have fully embraced it, and it makes a difference.
Yeah, he clearly matured or learnt a lot along his journey as well. From the Knicks, I think the Mavs stop taught him a lot as well, to go from like contender high expectations to the Wizards. And yeah, he clearly bought into the sacrifice as the rest of the team did as well. And I think that's just really appreciated by Celtics fans. You play both ends. He plays fucking hard, dude. Even though it's heart attack inducing, the way that he like goes up for lobs and goes up for blocks, like, one man to beat, but it's a 7-footer. This dude's like busts his ass to get back in transition. Yep. Like, he plays the exact right way. He's willing to sacrifice. And then you add on to the top that it's kind of like mind melting, because the way that he does what he does doesn't really seem like it should be possible.
And it's kind of interesting. He had this sort of like soft or, not tough type of narrative around him. I'm seeing a guy who's playing on 1 foot, who's sacrificing his body, who, I don't know, like he battles, like they're going to be bigs that he gets overpowered with because he's so skinny. But at the same time, like he doesn't seem like a soft. Maybe it took the previous failures and being in basketball Siberia in Washington to now he has new life. And like, since he's been traded, he's been smiling for 2.5 years.
It's crazy. It's crazy, dude.
It's just honestly, it took so much to trade Marcus Smart. Like, we deserve this to be the other side of it, right? Like, if this had flopped and they didn't win the title and it was a disaster sign, like that would have been, a lot harder to stomach. At least now we can say, like, he died for a reason. It's like it was an equal payoff, so to speak.
No, if everything goes to plan, like, we go back to back, and Kristaps is actually a big part of it this time. Like the lore of Kristaps Porzingis, like, the first year he plays so well, he comes back in game 5, he's like limping around, like that's going to go down. That's going to be, kids on your grandkids on your knee, like Kristaps Porzingis in game 5, he had a retinaculum injury, and
it'll be nice to change stories from, all right, so this guy was the greatest Celtic of all time, and then he pooped his pants, and then he came back. Like, it would be nice to have a final story that doesn't revolve around Pierce pooping his pants. It's a comeback story. So, I'm with you. Like, let's get him at least one more banner, and he can be a legend in his own right, and we can finally move on from that investigation.
It's beautiful. All right, 23 minutes on Kristaps, I think, is at least around. There's unlimited time.
I'm trying to be conservative.
Yeah, I know. We hopefully we have between 45 and 55 more of these before the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, it was so good to see him back. I mean, the Jays just kind of had like and this is where, Tatum's probably going to, like, him winning the MVP was always going to be tough with what Jokic is doing, but this is going to be part of the problem with him getting right at the top, because his counting stats are going to fall off because Kristaps Porzingis is taking some of the shots away, and they're going to be benching guys in the fourth quarter because they're up more, most likely. And so the overall counting numbers were down a little bit, but I thought the Jays were just like really good decision makers, played good on defense, rebounded the ball, attacked mismatches, and just played really, really well. I wouldn't say this is obviously going to be a crazy game for either of them, but just superstar stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think against the Wolves, you saw what they're capable of when Porzingis is out, right? They have 57 or something combined points, efficient. They're scoring on all 3 levels. Today, you could even make the case like Tatum smoked a couple layups, missed a free throw. Jalen missed a couple free throws. So it's like, even though this was a quote unquote quiet night, they were a player or two away from being 24, 26 points. But again, it's more just the way, again, it's not going to help, like you said, for the MVP, but for the things that matter, the way they're able to mold their games, given what the team needs on any given night, is why they're the best duo in the NBA. It's like, if they decided that they needed to just spam Tatum and Brown, they could have done that. But I think on a night like this, they understand, like, hey, we don't know how much Porzingis is going to play. It means a lot to get to him, big picture, to get him feeling good and in a rhythm and up to speed. And again, you saw when teams pressure Jalen with high ball pressure, he gets past the line of defense. There's the lob. It's like they can still impact the game in other ways with him on the floor that isn't scoring. And it's like if that costs Tatum the MVP, then so be it. Because whatever. Like it shouldn't, right? Like there should be context around all of their individual cases. But like Jokic is getting 30-piece by the Knicks today. Like, is that gonna hurt him the same way a night like tonight hurts the Jason Tatum's case? I don't know. But the fact that they're willing and able to take step backs here and there, I think is what makes them so special.
Yeah, they're just really, really good, man. And so Jaylen Brown quietly, not so quietly considering what he did in the Wolves game from 3, but last 6 games, he is shooting 8 3-pointers a game, and he's shooting 38.8% from 3. And someone that's
a pretty big sample. I thought it was. I would have bet it was only like the last 2 or so games that he had.
It's ticking up, and I think now I'll have to have a look at it and check like when he came back from the injury, because I think that kind of cost him. I think was before that he just wasn't playing as well. But like last 6 games, he's putting up 24 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. 5 assists for Jaylen, and on only 2.3 turnovers on that kind of volume from 3. And he
hasn't had his best. He hasn't had his best friend to lob it, to create the 2-man game. And honestly, I think it was Cato, right? He had that one sort of like bounce pass. Like I can't remember the play exactly.
Oh yeah. It was a pick and roll, pocket pass. Yeah.
Like just a play like that is something Jaylen wasn't making a year ago, 2 years ago. I'd say 2 years ago. Last year he probably makes it, but his evolution has been great. And the thing that's important about his 3-point shot, he's making contested threes.
Yeah.
That's how it's like, all right, anybody can make him open. When he's out of his slump, when he's starting to make them with the hand in his face, off catch and shoot. Like, I think a large percentage of his threes against the Wolves were assisted. Mm-hmm. So it's like he's getting the ball with confidence and he's not hesitating, which tells you like he's starting to see the ball go in. And then if you have to close out hard on him, you're dead. Like he's going right by you to the rim. Now he can throw the lob or finish. Like we said earlier, there's no right answer to how you stop that.
It was a beautiful play. Tatum had Zubats on the perimeter. Tatum got downhill. Defense collapses. Tatum hits Jaylen on the pass. Zubats actually got a pretty good contest, but just, as you said, catch and just like rises, fires, all in one motion, really aggressive. To see like that from Jaylen, like he's been playing like well. He's been getting the counting stats, but to get the efficiency now as well. And then Tatum, last 6 games, 26 points, 9.7 rebounds. So we'll round up. So 26, 10, and 7 assists. And that's the number I'm like really fascinated by.
That's playoff Tatum right there.
The playmaking continues to improve year on year. And man, I was hoping he can get to 6 assists by the end of the year. But if he's going to get KP back now too, I would love for him to, like, he ends the season 27, 8, and 7 assists. That's LeBron. That's LeBron stuff.
That's LeBron MVP numbers, yeah. I mean, you just have to hope Jokic isn't throwing up 29, 18, and 17.
We need them to lose. That would be like the case. Is like if they're like as fringe top 6 seeds, that would be the only thing.
Now, I'm curious. What is, because this? I'm going to go to my grave with this. My belief is you can tell how engaged Tatum is by his rebounding. What did he finish with there? Was it right around 10, 9, 8, 9? Okay, so yeah, right around like, and again, I think he had 5 or 6 early. Like that's
same in the Wolves game.
Same thing, right? Like it's his poker. It's his poker tell. When he's active on the glass, you can tell like Tatum gives a shit tonight, and when Tatum gives a shit, chances are you're probably going to win.
Yeah. When Tatum, that's the thing. Like the all around, he is LeBron light, and we can say that without getting flamed too hard on a Celtics podcast. And saying that to the masses is going to get you roasted. But like, it is essentially what he does now. He's the offensive engine. He's the versatile defender. He's their most important rebounder.
I mean, he's probably the best passing wing right now outside of LeBron, right? Like, who would be a better? Who is it between?
Luka is a point guard.
He's a guard. No, he's a guard.
I agree.
He's a guard.
Like I guess, and like depends on what you call Giannis. But I'm not sure if he's a better passer. It's more just he maybe gets more attention. I'm just looking at it now. Like he's a better playmaker than Shea, better playmaker than Edwards, than Durant. Of those elite guys, better than Booker.
Paul George is Paul George. You could maybe say back in the day, but he was
never as good playmaker.
Assist guy.
Oh yeah, easily.
I don't think it's crazy to suggest that right now and again, like, is Tatum a 4? Is he a wing? Like, he's like a LeBron wing forward.
Exactly.
You know, like,
he leads the league in usage, and leads the team in usage and touches. So it's like, Tatum is the offensive guy. Yeah, man, it's very, and you just can't overstate how valuable the versatility is of him to do it in that many ways.
But what's crazy is it's versatility 1 through 5. It's not. It's like every position on the floor is versatile.
Not fair.
It's like fair. I wish they asked him on the broadcast, but like, I wish they just asked Brad, like, do you watch this and just be like, holy shit, I cooked. Like look at what I have created. Like, I just want him to tell us his honest, like, he wants to just sit back and watch, but like, I really broke the sport about, like, I solved it. This is the puzzle. Like, you know how disgusted he was as they're scoring in the paint.
I know, it was awesome. It was so good.
One of us.
Another layup.
He just has to know that, like, he knows that he cooked something stupid that just, you know, if they're healthy, like, I was under the impression, like, okay, this is another year. It's different. They're going to be dominant, but it'll look different.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. With Porzingis on the floor, it looked exactly the same. It was just the exact same. I don't know.
Man. I'm really interested because, like, there's definitely been that, like, championship malaise going on. Tonight was obviously the complete opposite. And I don't know, maybe you just get caught up in it because it's like early in the season, and now you like zoom out a little bit. It's like, sure, they lost to the Hawks, but then they blew out the Nets the next night. Then they step up for the Cavs game and like kind of own that one wire to wire. Sure, then they go to overtime with the Raptors and they don't play that well with the Wizards. The Wolves are really good. They kind of control it wire to wire. They blow out the Clippers. It's like, you zoom out a little bit, and maybe it's not that different. Speaking of versatility, Derrick White, I know it's uncanny now. So they've played 18 games, and he's scored 19 points in 4 of them. So that's which is kind of weird that 19 seems to be the exact amount of points that he scored again. But so 19 points on 12 shots, like 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 of them were offensive, only 1 turnover. Like, he's literally the perfect role player.
He's perfect. He's not even. It feels like fucked up to call him a role player because like
it is. But he is.
But he is. Like, he is. But at the same time, it's like his role is being perfect. So it's like, yes, he is a role player. There were 2 moments that I just, you know, you just shake your head at you know, what a blessing he is. The first was early in the, I don't know, it was like kind of early in the 4th quarter. I think he had the ball, he brought it up. He sort of like was on the hash mark on the wing, sort of like backing up, called Kata over to set the screen, immediately reset his feet, bombed a 3. Then later in the quarter, he had it in the corner, the fake shot, give back to Kata for the dunk. It's like he just knows how to make the right play. And it's just so beautiful to watch. It's like if you have a kid, you want them to be Derrick White. Like, how he plays is what you want. Like, if I have a son or a daughter at some point in my life, I'm raising them to be Derrick White. Like, it's just the fact that he is, like, I think we said it before, he's shooting like he's Klay Thompson, but he's never making a mistake. He like Porzingis, plays hard every second he's on the floor, and he's hitting dagger after dagger after dagger. It's like this. I don't know what Brad thought he was trading for, but There's no way. There's no way any, like, even Richard, his dad, who I love, there's no way he knew that he was going to
turn of the pod, dude.
Go play like this. It's just, it's so incredible, and it's so consistent, right?
That's crazy.
Because he plays so hard and plays the right way, I feel like he is truly blessed by the basketball gods. It's like, okay, you are someone who respects the game. We're going to now turn you into, like, arguably the greatest role player the league has ever seen.
Yes, like, him coming to the Celtics, him shooting 36% from three, even 40% from three was like, okay, but it's going to be catch and shoot. He's open. The thing that he's developed this year, and he's getting more and more confident with it, is when on these switches, and he had two like ridiculously deep ones today. He hit the dagger one against the Wolves as well. When teams are either playing drop or playing in the switch, he's just waiting for that handover where there's a little bit of space, and he's just pulling from anywhere.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it because like there has to be an exchange between the two players. But now he like the way that he like leans back just a tiny bit. The quicker is trigger is quick. Oh my god.
That's how quick it is.
That's how fucking quick it is. Yeah, man, and like. He also had that play, which he makes a million of these. He saves the ball inbounds to Pritchard, or Pritchard saves the ball into Pritchard, who then he falls out and he throws it ahead of Pritchard so that Pritchard can like keep his feet in bounds, and then Pritchard in and out dribbles on Kevin Porter Jr. and then throws the lob to KP. Derrick White is like very much he's the Dennis Johnson of this era, and you go back and watch a lot of these plays. It's just like the play against the Mavericks where Drew like preciouses Luka in the is it PJ Washington or Luka in the backcourt, and then Derrick White like Patrick Chung as a safety
comes out of nowhere, taps it,
hits it back to Drew, who hits it to Horford, who hits it back to Drew, and these just like pure unselfish defensive playmaking plays that just they headline the championship DVD. He is in the middle of them all the time.
It's like they say he does like the little things. But he does so many little things that they turn into big things. You know what I mean? It's like that one little save deflection maybe doesn't seem so big in the grand scheme of things, but it leads to a transition break, which leads to the crowd getting amped up, which leads to the three barrage. It's like these little things around the margins add up, and it turns out to be, the backbone of what makes them. They're so good on the margins that you're not even thinking about all their superstar level production because you're getting killed around the edges. These plays here and there, these 50-50 balls, an extra pass here, an extra pass there, like things that you just take for granted are what unlock a level of dominance once their shots start going in. It's like an avalanche. Like you get into the second quarter, their first 7 or 8 shots that they made in the quarter were threes. It's like, but they all came off good process. You know what I mean? It's like they were extra passing, unselfish, in transition, catch and shoot. It's like they just become so overwhelming for a defense where it's like all you do is just have to call timeout and hope something changes, because once they get rolling, they're an avalanche.
There's like a Clippers account, one of those more trolly accounts, and I know a couple of weeks ago he was like, "This is not the same Celtics; they're beatable." And I went back and looked at like his live tweets through the game, and he's like, "Zubac is playing well, da da da," and then it's like, "This is bullshit. They just shoot a million threes and they make all of them, and then the game's over."
Man, welcome to Missoula ball. Like I think. Now that we have the security of them having won a title, it's so much more fun to now look at opposing fan bases and commentating crews and just watch their brains melt trying to process like what for us is just a night. Like I looked it up. They've played 18 games. They've made 23s in 8 of them. So that's basically almost half of their season. Like it used to be a big deal when you made 23s. Dude, now they did it in 3 quarters. They did it in 3 quarters.
You're just not going to win. You're just not going to win many games against this Boston Celtics team, and trying to beat them in a series is why it's like, hey,
right. Like you could beat them randomly on a one. Like you have to do it 4 times.
Yeah.
For a team that never loses more than 2 games out of 10, you have to beat them 4 out of 7, but they win at a 800 game pace. Like the math just doesn't math.
It never again. Yeah,
and that's not even that dude being like Zubac was playing well. Like that's all true. He was. Right. Like James Harden played great. The problem is you're trading 2s for 3s. And if you trade 2s for 3s over the course of 48 minutes, I mean, they took 12 threes at half or something like that. Like that's just not enough. It's a simple math game. That's all it is.
Yeah, this question in the chat, like, what do you think about the lazy arguments about 3-pointers ruining NBA viewership? I don't think anyone.
I mean, the ratings have never been better in my house. I don't know why you would think that.
It's very weird. Yeah, Massachusetts is really carrying the NBA viewership these last couple of years here. I don't think it's anything like this. The NBA just signed like one of the most lucrative TV deals in the history of sports. The contracts continue to go up. I think like linear TV ratings is not, the best way to measure this sort of stuff. I don't think
don't give a shit. Like,
you
don't have to watch it. Like, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
You don't have to watch it, but I don't know. I think it's mostly just frustration and born out of jealousy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if your favorite team could do this, you would love it, but they can't. So that's just
that has been fun. Like there was like one of the headline posts on NBA Reddit yesterday was a Timberwolves fan just being like, how long are they allowed to keep this team together? Because they were like, I don't understand. We had to trade Karl Anthony Towns and like they have all these guys and like they just shoot 1 million threes and every single one of them is a 40% 3-point shooter. And then they still have Kristaps Porzingis coming back and all the.
I mean, we joke, but there will come a time where they're going to have to change. Like, I don't know what the deal is with the Saudi oil money. I don't know, but
who knows?
But realistically,
probably
as constructed in the next 3 or something years, it'll look different. But in the meantime, it's belt to ass. Like, tough luck. I suffered my entire life for this. I'm enjoying. Like, you're just gonna have to give me like 4-ish years, and then we'll be fine.
Yeah, dude.
Like, give me a Warriors dynasty run, and then we're fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we got plenty of time before I start to feel like we've had enough. It never got old with the New England Patriots and Tom Brady, so I don't anticipate. Yeah, I know the Clippers broadcast were also talking about the second apron. That's typically a pretty good sign when people aren't like saying, I think we could get them next time. They're just saying like, hopefully the rules of the league change or like that have changed, force this team to break themselves up, but. Other than that, I'm not.
I mean, that's an interesting wrinkle. Like, I was very interested in having this season, with the monkey off their back, they're the champs. Like, now we can all just collectively exhale. I was curious, like, what would I find enjoyment in throughout the year? And it's 1,000% people just their brains continuing to melt. It's like, were none of you paying attention last year? Like, they just gave you a 100-game sample of what this looks like, and you didn't want to believe it. And then they won the title, and now you're all looking around like, wait, the Celtics they make a lot of threes every night? Like, what? Like, you can't switch on them? Like, who allowed this? And it's like, what have you been, like, what
we've been trying to tell you, dude.
It's like you just were blinded by the hate, and you couldn't stomach the fact that your takes from 2019 were no longer, applicable in 2024. And it's just like, the problem is they haven't even hit their ceiling. Like, this is not the best that the Celtics are going to look. And they're 14-3 with a plus 10 point differential. It's
15-3. 15-3. Yeah, man. Yeah, like the way I look at it, they're not ruining basketball. They're just perfecting basketball. And that's not fun for the rest of the NBA. Yeah, we kind of skipped the we went straight from you guys are frauds and this will never work to this is unfair and I need it to stop.
How can you not love that? It's like
it's awesome.
And the fact that they're doing it with Tatum and Brown together, it's like we just have the ultimate it's just so validating. It's why Brad Stevens is literally like, I mean, I don't know what you have to do to get a statue built. They're very stingy when it comes to building statues, especially Celtic statues, but I mean, he has been touched by God. And it's
crazy.
The second he got on the broadcast, they never missed.
It's
like anything that he's involved in, it's just like he is touched by God. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, good. And finally, the good guys.
Finally the good guys catch a break,
Exactly, which is awesome. So there's 2 points or people we have to touch on before we get out of here. Peyton Pritchard, but like the Whites off the bench were huge tonight. Like they blew the lead out in the first half, but in the second half when the Clippers made a run, like they were hot in the third quarter. The Celtics couldn't buy one. Pritchard and Hauser came back in, and the lead was immediately 20 again. Yeah, Pritchard's becoming like. It's just another piece of the puzzle that's unfair because like you've got this top 6, Horford's out, but then Peyton Pritchard's going to drop. Like combined, they were 10 for 16 and they were 9 for 13 from 3. So
a nice bounce back because I mean they struggled against the Wolves.
Yep.
And it almost feels like unfair because it's like we almost hold both of them to the standard where like you should never miss a shot. And that's just not a logical way to evaluate. But, they get these clean looks and you're just like surprised when they miss, where it's almost like the expectation is just not real. So when you get a night like tonight where they live up to that expectation, you see like this is honestly what has to happen. Maybe not at this efficiency, but they can't have these 1-for-7s, 1-for-5s just because there's no other shot creation coming off the Celtics bench, right? Like the only other thing they're going to have is a Cornet offensive rebound or a Cade offensive rebound. It's crucial that at least one of them, you can't have them both off on the same night, and expect to win at a 800% clip.
But they do. That's the thing. When that happens, then that's just what leads to a close game. And then
that's what I mean. Like those are the ones they lose by like 3. You know what I mean? And you're like, all right, Pritchard went 1 for 8. Guess what? Next time he plays, he's going to go 5 for 7. So today was the bounce back, and you're right. Like between his ball pressure and his shooting,
Pritchard's defense.
It's just, it's kind of like it reminds me of when Isaiah was here. He would try, but he was just like, 5'6" is 5'6", whatever the hell it is. With Pritchard, it's the same thing, but I feel like his on-ball defense is just like he sticks to you like glue. And even if you're going to make a play over him, he is going to be so in your head every time you put the ball on the floor. I think that makes up for, his lack of height. But even he's like stock. He can absorb contact in the post. He had, that post up on Kevin Porter Jr. where like,
oh dude, that was awesome.
Brown and it just like it fried Kevin Porter Jr.'s brain.
Out of bounds.
Yeah, because like you don't expect that, and you have to realize Peyton Pritchard's a dog, dude. Like he's gonna come. He's not afraid of a height discrepancy. And I just, Jalen said he's 6th man of the year. The way he's playing now is just
run away with it.
It's another true blessing that Danny Ainge has gifted this.
He really did, man. Look, Danny's draft record is good, man. Like the last few picks that he made, like Pritchard, Grant Williams, and Rob, Aaron Neesmith, like they've all turned into good players. And Hauser just looks physically good to me now. Like I was pretty worried about the back. He played 23 minutes tonight. I'm guessing he would have played more if the game was closer. So that's just a good sign. And you just want to see him healthy, obviously. And I do now have to apologize. I don't have to apologize, but I saw someone in the chat being like, Jake, you owe Neemias Cater some words.
Big time bounce back for him. Like
huge bounce back game. Look, this is a real thing that happened, but it's important that he played well in this matchup at the same time. Like they had no creation outside of James Harden, and they had no backup big men really outside of Zubac. But if he can play well and be impactful in plus matchups in the regular season, that's all we fucking need.
That's the bar, right? Like the Clippers having nobody over 6'6" played a large role. Why?
Great news.
Okay, great. Awesome. So next time there's a team that is only playing 6'6" guys, play Kata and give Al Horford some rest. Like, I don't need him to be, the Rob Williams 2.0. Like, we joke, but you don't. You just need him to be serviceable and to eat up regular season minutes. So if you get into an emergency come the spring, he's had the reps and he feels confident that he knows what the hell to do when he's on the floor. And if benching him for a game or two, giving Tillman some run over him, and, giving him additional, motivation is what you have to do, then Joe's pressing all the right buttons because, this was arguably one of his best games of the season.
Absolutely.
And I don't really care if it's matchup dependent because that's the whole point. Like, that's the whole point of having those 3 bigs.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I think for me, it's just like I kind of just the Warriors game happened and he wasn't perfect, but you start to just like the athleticism, the switching onto Steph, and I start to get over my skis a little bit, and I'm like, and then he crashes back down to earth, and I go too far the other direction. The expectation and the hope for Cater is that can he develop into someone that's as reliable as Luke Cornett has been, and if that's what he turns into, that he can be like a reliable regular season's inning eater, that a guy that you found as an undrafted 2-way guy, that's like a massive win for your development system.
And they say, the hardest thing about the NBA when you're dealing with this type of talent. It's like, it's not a talent thing, right? Like, all these guys are good, right? You wouldn't be in the NBA if you're not. What separates them is the consistency thing, right? So, like you said, with Luke Kornet, you know what you're getting from Kornet every single game. It might not always be great. Like, he has his own limitations, but there's a consistency element that comes with him. With Kada, it's up and down, right? You haven't found that balance and consistency. That's why he's a minimum guy who was on a two-way. Really, really high ceiling, kind of a low floor when things don't look the best. It's finding that balance and that sort of, all right, if you're going to be, can you be Luke Kornet? Like you said, can we rely on you that we can put you out there and you're going to know, like, you put Kornet on the floor, he knows what to do in every situation, right? He knows how to process things offensively. He knows where he has to be in help and defensively. And, sure, he may still get scored on, but he's never like, oh, where was Luke Kornet? It's like, no, he was there. He just got scored on. With Nimi, it's like you're missing rotations. You're late. There's just that consistency thing. And that's the thing that you hope comes to fruition the more he plays and the more situations he's a part of. But he has to hold up his end of the bargain, right? Like, he can't look like he did against the Wizards in games that matter. So tonight, I think, was an example of when things look great. It's like, wow, like if this is what we could get consistently, holy shit. But it's probably a couple pegs below, on a bigger picture.
Yeah, of course. Shout out Cornet, best sellers in the league. True. I can't believe I forgot to mention my guy, Jordan Walsh. I mean, garbage. But I've seen it on Twitter. That pump, go, and dunk looked very similar to someone wearing number 0.
I know, man. I'm trying my hardest, but it's like you just see it. It's his length. It is the length, and it's like the armband. I think that just the three he hit. He had the block on the jumper.
2 blocks.
The finish, like, he's another one. Like,
he looks good tonight.
I just want to see it. Like, these are the matchups, right? Like the Clippers and these blowouts. Like, that's partially why I'm happy that KP is back, because I need the blowouts so I can get some developmental minutes. Like, let them protect the point differential, give them that challenge, and let's see it, because you see the flashes of the defense. If that shot can be, 34, 35%.
Come on,
like,
please.
I'm not asking him to be Derrick White. I'm just asking him to be, league average. Like, just be average. And if he's going to be, especially for a second apron team that is going to need cheap talent. Like, these are the players around the margins that I think are going to sort of dictate the next wave once we get through, this current cycle.
I think he's going to be good, but I thought that tonight was some of the most confident he looked. Both the threes that he took, the pump and go, the defense. You can very easily see the vision with him. Obviously, it was like 6 minutes in garbage time, but hey,
still counts.
It still counts.
They track the stats, right? Like NBA, those were real. They still count. So
Baylor. Defensively, he's got some struggles.
He's Walsh in year one, Walsh in year one.
24.
Like,
he's just 24 years old.
Just, half a decade older. But it's like he'll look better in his year 2 after playing in Maine the same way that Walsh did. And it's a luxury that we didn't, you don't need that first round pick right now. There's obviously the case to be made. Should they have gone with a big man in that spot over him? And
he's looked good.
That's just what he has to prove in his opportunity. Like, you're not seeing it anywhere close now, but then he goes to the G League and he's averaging like 29 a game.
I know, it's crazy.
So it's like, is he a 4A player where too good for the minors, not good enough for the majors? Or is it just normal year 1 development and you're just going to have to, you probably won't extend him after his rookie deal because he'll be like 29 years old. But, for a season or 2 there, maybe he gives you something.
Yep. Look, if Walsh hits, knowing Brad Stevens, they'll probably be fringe all-stars. Like, that just kind of seems to be what happens now.
He's touched by God. There's no other way to describe it. Like, you almost have to assume they will pan out because,
why would they not?
When's the last time he ever made a bad decision?
Yeah. Even Springer, who I'm not a fan of, and I was like, is that Brad's like one mistake maybe? But he looked good tonight. We'll see. My new mission is Brad is going to trade Jaden Springer back to the Philadelphia 76ers for Gershon Yabusele.
Yabu, that would be. I mean, Yabu probably makes $4 million. Right?
No, he's on a minimum. He's on a minimum, so it would have to be like you could just do that. I think. Yeah. I don't think the Sixers would do it though.
You know.
I don't think that Morey could do it to admit send back one of Danny's draft picks that's now panned out to the Boston Celtics to help them win a title. Seems unlikely, but
but what if he's playing too well and they want to go for Cooper Flag? He's like, I got to get Yabu out of here and bring in players who are offensively challenged. Like, you never know. There's a lot of basketball between now and February, but I just don't understand why they just didn't give him the minimum deal out of the Olympics in the first place. Like, you could have given him that 15th spot and just eaten the tax hit. Who cares?
Yeah, between him and Lonnie, we'll see. I'm sure we'll way overcover the very limited options that we have with Jaden Springer's contract.
Oh, and then Brad, he's complacent. Like, I can't believe he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, what
the window is now. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. All right. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Thank you, Greenie. I mean, doesn't get much better than tonight.
This is peak. This is what we live for.
Exactly. This was Kristaps Porzingis. His return could not have gone better. It's kind of what he does at this point. Greenie, it's been a pleasure. Everybody, good to see you. Till next time, go Celtics.